Hello and welcome back to Dystopia Now. I am Kate Willett.
I'm Emil Torres.
Today we are here with part 2 of our series on Jeffrey Epstein and the terrestrial bundle of ideologies, Jeffrey Epstein and transhumanism, eugenics, all the stuff that we talk about on the show. And today we're joined by a very special guest who listeners will remember from a previous episode that we did on Israeli Hasbara. Welcome back to the show, Keira Havens.
Hey folks, glad to be here.
Keira is the director of Citizens Impeachment. When we were talking about that before the show, there was a very frustrated laugh that came out.
It's a lot of work.
It is a ton of work. Yeah, we have, there is, what I will say is that politics, just politics in general, as everybody is aware, is an absolute mess at the moment, right? Norms being shattered left and right. And the thing that, how could it be? The thing that is missing like most from this moment has been just a refusal to engage with bullshit and say like, no more, this is enough, we are done, right? President is inept, they are unfit, they're unconstitutional, they can't serve out their term, which seems like an obvious thing to say, but if you say it, everybody has a million reasons why they can't do that. And and there's sort of a collective delusion happening about what is possible, what courage is, what people are capable of. And I mean, just to read the latest drop of files where Jeffrey Epstein is just rubbing elbows with everybody in the political world, and you know, having everybody from Steve Bannon to Obama's lawyer call him up and consult him. I get really frustrated that these people are, who is the congresswoman that was like, yeah, I texted with Jeffrey Epstein.
Ew.
Did you guys?
Oh, I don't know her name.
I don't know either.
I'll have to look I will look it up. I'll get the name in a second. But, you know, here's this representative of the people texting, it's the U.S. Virgin Islands representative, right? Texting with Jeffrey Epstein. And I can't get constituents a meeting with their rep. Like, I gotta beg. It's absurd. Anyway, yes, very frustrated.
You'll be happy to know that here in Brooklyn, I was able to meet with Joanne Simons, chief of staff, my assembly member. So,
how did that work? How did that go?
You know, it was actually really interesting. This is like not on the topic of our show, but so me and another group of Joanne Simons constituents met with her in support of right to counsel for renters. So basically, if you're going to court and the landlord is trying to evict you, and you know, the landlord almost always has a lawyer. So what right to counsel does is it balances things out a little bit, because a lot of people's landlords try to evict them for bunk reasons that are completely illegal. And so, you know, having right to counsel does stop at least some evictions, I think, you know, because at least they're not as easily able to do the illegal ones. But, you know, Assemblywoman Simon could not make it that day, but her chief of staff was there, and you know, luckily Joanne Simon already supported the legislation. But I would definitely recommend constituent meetings. I think that that's a tool that a lot of people don't know is available to them.
Yeah,
100%. People have to talk to you.
they do have to talk with you, and it's actually really effective. So, listeners, if you want to talk to your rep, come find us. We'll help you out. But we don't have the same access that Jeffrey Epstein has. I have to go through official channels. I can't just text somebody.
I wanted to start today just with something that I've been noticing that is on topic in this kind of tech centrist community, which is minimizing or downplaying the harm of Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, Ezra Klein famously said back in July that, like, yeah, Epstein was a huge pervert, but, you know, and he also had a lot of wealthy and powerful friends, but, you know, he kept these parts of his life most likely very separate, which we've all ended up as we've all ended up knowing is definitely not true, right? And then an interesting, disgusting thing that's been happening for the past couple of days is I've really seen like tech-centrist pedophile apologia, right? Like Hanania, who's a guy that we've talked about on this show, published a blog post called "The Real Target of Pedophile Hysteria is Age Gap Relationships. There are costs to lying about basic biology." And about 4 paragraphs into this essay, he straight up defends Jeffrey Epstein, says, Jeffrey Epstein's not a pedophile. This is very gross. But, I've been seeing like some of these like George Mason type of libertarian guys, be like, actually being attracted to teens is very normal. And then in more mainstream conservatism, Megyn Kelly said that, like there's a very big difference between the being attracted to a 15-year-old and an 8-year-old. And being like, it's just so, to me, I'm just appalled. It's like a high schooler is a child. Like, that's so disgusting. But I'm like, what is the motivation for this? I doubt all of these people are even pedophiles. I think it's just this impulse to defend the rich, no matter what. Like, no matter what level of heinous crime they commit. And so I'm keeping in mind that, as we discussed Jeffrey Epstein today, like the fact that, like, his wealth and the wealth of people around him allowed him to get away with shit that was not only so illegal, so immoral, but just frankly so bizarre.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
So, a lot of people
I've seen a ton of people on social media defending Epstein as well, making claims like,
God.
well, it used to be mostly people on the political right, like Hanania, saying, well, it used to be the case that girls age 16 would get married. And after all, fertility is highest at that age. I don't actually know if that's true, but it's irrelevant to the moral issue at hand. So anyways, it's been totally strange and bizarre. The Overton window shift that we've seen in the aftermath of all the Epstein stuff, where more and more people are feeling comfortable publicly stating that they're kind of okay with pedophilia.
So disgusting.
That is wild. I hadn't seen Hanania's, I hadn't seen that essay. I will have to read it after this. This is the same person that was like, we should sterilize everybody with under a 90 IQ, right? Like, let's just be real clear about who that person is and what they believe and advocate for. I think the common theme here, I guess it's twofold, right? Anybody who grows up that looks female gets a real early dose of people that want to take advantage of vulnerability. And, it's true for me. It's true for just about every single woman I know.
For sure,
That it starts real early, and it doesn't start real early because you are, the hottest woman that ever walked the planet. It starts real early because you're a vulnerable child and they can take advantage of you. Like, that's just it. And I think this actually ties in a much bigger level to the concept of right-wing politics, which is really based on hierarchy and control, right? Like, you have a man that can do no wrong at the head of the household and or the head of the nation, and kind of like a Christ-like God figure, and they really reject any type of autonomy that the people subordinate to your favorite God king could have, right? That's true if you were a woman, if you were a type of person that they just don't think fits in their hierarchy or is at the bottom of the hierarchy, or if you're a child and you're their property, right? Like, all of this kind of comes together into this, well, it's just supposed to be that way. I have the right to do whatever I want to you because that's how it works in this world, so get on board, right? And I don't think we can discount that, and this is super cynical and gross to say, I don't think we can discount that there are people out there who consider Epstein's lifestyle a perk, being rich and having power and control over people. That is something that they actively want in their life, is a number of willing, or what if they can pretend it's willing, right? A number of on-demand services
Yeah.
from people that are not fully human for them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
This idea of hierarchy seems to be, as far as I could tell, kind of a common denominator of a lot of your work, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
know you've written some really good pieces criticizing the notion of IQ and IQ tests. That is, and the way that IQ tests have been used to justify the perpetuation of social hierarchies. So yeah, in fact, I would say from reading your work, the way that I interpret phenomena like eugenics, maybe the divide between a political right, political left, in terms of hierarchy, has changed as a result of your work. Yeah, it's been really insightful. And so would you say that this is kind of a distinguishing feature between the political right and the political left, that the political right really leans into and embraces and promotes the idea of hierarchy, whereas a lot of people, like progressives, tend to reject a hierarchical conception of what the structure of society ought to be?
Yeah, it manifests in different forms, but I think we have done a really poor job of addressing this concept of hierarchy head on, right? There are definitely different varying degrees. If at the core of it, right, this sort of let's call it authoritarian and, for lack of a better word, liberal, I guess. Authoritarian policies, yeah, they are interested in hierarchy as a reflection of a divine order of some kind. Even if you're not saying it's God, maybe it's nature that sets this order in place, right? They are attempting to rectify the chaos and mess of the world and shove it into this order that already exists and can't be disputed, right? On the other side of that spectrum, you have people who are just existing as individuals in relationship to one another, and maybe the cheesiest form of this is the divine in me respects the divine in you, and namaste and all of that sort of stuff, right? It becomes almost a cliche at that point. But part of the inherent tension there, right, is if you are a person that was born a man and likes to wear clothes that are usually associated with what we call women, right? It creates this confusion, right? If an authoritarian regime believes there is only one correct way to be, and we see this a lot in all of the rhetoric coming in from the Trump administration and Project 2025 and the attempts to strip individuality and identity from people, right? There's only one way to be a man. There's only one way to be a woman. There's only one way to be married. There's only one way to be in love. If you show up and you do something different, you are invalidating their entire framework for existence, which seems like no big deal for people that are just living, but it's actually an existential crisis for these people, right? And some, like a lot of times you'll find people who are real deep into like the white supremacy mindset. When they experience consequences and they eventually like leave that mindset, they find out there's a much broader range of their own person than they were ever allowed to express before, right? And this is the rigid hierarchy, the enforcement of the rigid hierarchy allows for a couple things for like authoritarianism, right? For one, it allows you to like immediately create like inside the group and outside the group, right? You get a very clear definition there. But it also defines like the area of control, right? And anything inside that area of control is a good thing because it is part of that natural order, and anything outside of it is bad and must be condemned. And so there's really like a whole entire world of a whole universe of existence that folks that refuse to acknowledge that the world is more complex than top to bottom, right? They just never experience. And it's truly like a difficult thing to realize that I don't have these rules and these categories and I don't always know where I stand in relation to another human being. They are, not only am I their equal, but they're my equal. Holy shit.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with that if they are my equal? that makes all sorts of weird things happen in the brain. So hierarchy is some craziness, and I think it ties directly into eugenics and Jeffrey Epstein. So there's lots more to talk about there.
So
let's get to it.
Yeah, speaking of Jeffrey Epstein, okay, so, obviously his extensive crimes have been discussed in, many podcasts and documentaries so far, but we wanted to focus on a lesser known aspect of Epstein, which is the fact that he was what Emil calls a terrestrialist or a transhumanist. Like, tell us the basics of that. Like, how does this play out among the other terrible shit that he was into?
Yeah, definitely. So let me just say straight up that Jeffrey Epstein was a eugenicist, right? And eugenics also falls under this hierarchy concept, right? Eugenics believes that there is a better way to exist as a human, which is defined by your biology, by the material that makes up your body. And the New York Times in 2019 ran a story titled "Jeffrey Epstein Hoped to Seed the Human Race with His DNA," and that is not an exaggeration. That is exactly why he involved himself in the sciences, why he donated money to the people that he did, to the scientists that he did, why he had sex with so many women. He believed that his genes, that Jeffrey Epstein's genetic material spread widely throughout the human race, would improve it. And I just really need everybody to sit and think about that, because this is delusional, right?
Yeah. It's a similar delusion I can't help but notice to the one that Elon Musk has. Like, I feel like this belief is fairly common in Silicon Valley that, like, these dudes, like, if they can just, impregnate as many people through IVF as possible, the better. They're going to have a gajillion children, and it seems to be a big thing within this
and it is
tech community.
Directly connected to the fear that they will be quote unquote replaced, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because the babies that they want are white babies. Let's just be real honest about that. The Great Replacement, this is a theory called the Great Replacement, where the outside, the black and brown hordes will come in and erase white civilization. I just hope the disdain is really dripping through as I am talking about this, because it's ridiculous. The only way that plays is if you don't consider people who are not white human, right?
Yeah, 100%.
That fear drives this pronatalism concept and all of these tech bro massive family efforts, I guess. And it also drives this, and that eugenics goes hand in hand with it, right? It's only the right kind of genes that can stay. It's only the right kind of people that should reproduce, and those people should reproduce as much as possible. It's all part of the same thing.
So in this story from 2019, he's obsessed with spreading his DNA. Oh God, what a horrible sentence. So then, like, what did he actually do? He had this, like, ranch, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. He had
ranch in New Mexico.
That is correct. Do you want to give a little background?
I don't know much about the ranch, but I know that it was the location that he mentioned to people in confidence as being where he would actually impregnate a bunch of women. 20 women a day was his suggestion.
That's a little delusional in more ways than one, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, I guess the idea is that they would say, look, you don't get to become super successful, extremely wealthy, immensely powerful, unless you are superior individual, right? And there's this hereditary idea that key aspects, key traits of human beings, such as their intellect, their cognitive capacity, that is based on the genes, right? So if they have more children, they're passing along these superior traits, and I think that's the reasoning. And there's just, behind it, there's an incredible narcissism, right?
Right.
That, the way to improve the world is for there to be more instances of me, basically. And so, the in New Mexico, which I think Chomsky referenced in one of his emails. We talked about Chomsky and Epstein in the previous episode. I think he mentioned meeting Epstein in
Epstein
New
invited
Mexico.
all sorts of people to the ranch, yeah.
And all sorts of people agreed to go.
Yep.
All this is happening, many of the interactions that have been reported on between Epstein and powerful individuals, including lots of people in the scientific community, happened after 2008, right, which is when Epstein pleaded guilty to 2 crimes, one of which was solicitation of prostitution from a minor, right? So everybody knew, and they knew what he had done, the sort of immoral acts that he had engaged in, and they agreed to hang out with him anyways.
And I know this ranch and his plan, I mean, it's clearly based in eugenics, but where does it become transhumanism?
Yeah, so in that same article, right, there's discussion of literally a grant to the World Transhumanist Association, $20,000 in 2011. Before that, there was a $50,000 grant to MIRI, which, of course, is run by Eliezer Yudkowsky.
Yeah,
that was in
another person who
2009.
had to clarify that he is not attracted to, or that he is not involved with people under 18. Recently.
Yeah.
He specifically said he has not knowingly had sexual relations with anyone under the age of 18.
He really left himself a loophole there.
Oh my
didn't
God.
He? Yeah.
Yeah. That is a load-bearing word.
So, God, so much weight is on that word. Yeah. And one thing, like, I will say that in my life, like normal life with people, I don't ever have that conversation with anybody. So
No.
there's a very specific subset of people that really feels the need to clarify about, how old the people they have had sex with are. And like, that's just the reddest of flags for me. I'll just say that. So in addition to the T in TESCREAL, the World Transhumanist, giving those people money, in addition to the Effective Altruists, the EA and TESCREAL, giving those people money in 2019, when I was going through the Epstein emails in preparation for this show, I also found out that Ben Goertzel, our Cosmo, what is the C?
Cosmist.
He got a grant from Epstein in 2001, 2002, and he funded his work on AI back then.
Oh,
and
God.
So the interest is when you are rich and powerful and you want to reshape the world in your image, the people that promise you immortality and an endless play heaven, right, of pure pleasure, those are the TESCREAlists.
Yeah.
And you don't need to pay attention to anybody else ever. You just need to pay them, and then they will make you a god.
Some billionaires that he had dinner with that we've talked about on the show, he chilled with Sergey Brin, who is one of the co-founders of Google. He hung out with Jason Calacanis, who is a right-wing. He might be like I don't know if he's a billionaire or a centimillionaire, but he co-hosts a podcast with David Sachs and has been involved in a lot of buying of political influence in San Francisco. Larry Page he hung out with. So, yeah, he was partying with all of these long-termist, transhumanist fucking weirdos.
I also read in an article that the donations to the World Transhumanist Association, so if people don't know, that was founded in 1998, co-founded by Nick Bostrom, the guy who basically founded long-termism, is one of the most influential transhumanists of the 21st century so far. He also is a guy who has advocated for eugenics, and wrote this really racist email that came to light in a couple years ago that I stumbled upon, right? That Bostrom had written in 1996, in which he literally wrote the N-word and said blacks are more stupid than whites. So the World Transhumanist Association was co-founded by Bostrom. It is now called Humanity Plus. And so I read this article that after the initial...
I'm sorry.
Humanity Plus.
Humanity Plus. Yeah, like, it makes it sound like humanity is something that you absorb spills with, Like, yeah, like, now 40 times more absorbent. Humanity. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of a weird rebrand.
Yeah.
But that's, back in the day, I published an article in the Humanity Plus magazine.
Did you really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, don't tell anyone publicly.
Okay, but you better not have had dinner with Jeffrey Epstein.
No,
Well, okay. Let me say, in 2019, when that was when I really became aware of Epstein. That suddenly, like, it was like realizing that you had been walking next to a swimming next to a shark the whole time. Like, synthetic biology is a field. Like, I'm a nerd. I love that stuff, right? And my entire field is tainted with this man's money. It impacts all of the questions that we work with. He was at all the big institutions. He worked with all the leaders in the field. And
George Church?
Yeah, George Church is a big name. Yeah, exactly. And it was I'm terrifying is the wrong word. It's like a near miss where you realize that, oh my God, at any point in time, I could have been immediately next to this guy in his orbit, asking him for money. Like, the way he thinks has impacted how my field does the work. And I thought about this and realized, like, I could have been at one of these dinners. And I have been at dinners with people who are enthusiasts about this space where the conversation turns to bettering humanity. And as soon as that happens, eugenics starts to be talked about, even if people don't realize that they're doing it, because they look to technical means of improvement rather than acknowledging humanity and figuring out the thing that makes you human is like self-reflection and engaging with your emotions. Like, those two things you can't turn the science knob and fix. You have to actually do that emotional work. And there's at least one dinner where I ended up like standing up and saying, like, you guys, this is eugenics. This is not, no, we're not. I was the killjoy, right? And I couldn't imagine, even if I had gone to one of these things, in good faith, where everybody's, all posturing and being the smartest guy in the room and everything, right? And like there's a lot of stuff like that out there. If I had found out that like my reputation and my name had been used to launder this asshole's shitty ideas, I would have been like incandescent with fury. Like, even just the thought that it could have happened made me angry. And I'm still like, I don't understand why more scientists are not enraged that this man used the community and this field, this like human endeavor that we all love very much, for his own super twisted ends. Like, just the grossest thing.
You mentioned his shitty ideas. Well, here are three. One is that, so I think this is from the New York Times article. Mr. Epstein, I'm quoting, had once hypothesized that atoms behaved like investors in a marketplace. On another occasion, he said he was willing to finance research that would aim to identify, quote, a mysterious particle that might trigger the feeling that someone is watching you. So brilliant stuff there.
Great.
And he also was, like many transhumanists, he was into cryonics. Like, when I was back in the day hanging out with transhumanists, because I was one, again, don't let that get out. There were a bunch of leading figures who would walk around with dog tags, right? And the dog tags indicated to doctors in an emergency room, in case they passed away due to an accident or whatever, that their body should be frozen and sent to California, because they'd signed up with Alcor. There are various other cryonics companies out there. So like pretty much all the leading figures have signed up basically with these companies that are engaged in a kind of pseudoscience, right? People pay a ton of money per year to get a place in one of the huge vats in Alcor's headquarters in California.
Vat life, hashtag.
Yeah. Vat life, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just like,
And so Epstein,
man, these fucking guys, these tech bros love density so much. Like, even in the afterlife, they're like, pack me the fuck in. Yeah.
Yeah. So Epstein was also an enthusiast of cryonics, and he said that he wanted to have both his. So one of the options with cryonics is you could just have your head frozen, right? Because the idea is like all you are
Oh no.
is a pattern of information.
I know where this
right?
is
So
going.
all that really matters.
I know where this is going, and I hate it. Yeah.
So for a reduced fee, you can have just your head rather than your entire body cryogenically frozen. So he opted to have his head and his penis frozen.
I knew it. I knew that
Yeah.
was going to be what happened, and I hate that I was right. Yeah.
I don't know what his plan was when he gets revived. Where do they
Probably some
what do
kind
they
of
attach the
defrosting,
penis
I would
to?
imagine. I don't know.
But like what what's the
Microwave.
plan with just those two body parts?
Yeah.
I don't know. So anyways,
Oh,
you
boy.
mentioned his shitty ideas. These are some of them. The other thing I was going to say before is, so he gave $20,000 to the World Transhumanist Association, aka Humanity Plus, and one of the articles claimed that the figure reportedly grew to 120,000. And Keira, you're completely right. I had no idea until recently that Epstein paid Ben Goertzel $100,000, a salary at one point. So, Goertzel, like you mentioned, he's kind of the founder of modern cosmism. Cosmism is the C in TESCREAL. But Goertzel has also been a massively influential figure within that community. Cosmism is a type of transhumanism. The E in TESCREAL stands for extropianism. Ben Goertzel was a participant in the early extropian movement of the 1990s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's written about the singularity. The reason we talk about AGI right now is because of Ben Goertzel, right? So he was looking for a name for a book that he published in 2007, and a former employee of his named Shane Legg, who went on to co-found DeepMind, Google
He
DeepMind.
also has good ideas, that guy.
Yeah. And so, Shane Legg suggested AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, for the title of his book. And it was that book that was, co-edited by Goertzel that popularized, that basically lodged the term AGI into our shared lexicon. Right. And so Ben Goertzel is this massively influential character who has much more extensive ties with Jeffrey Epstein than I thought. Just to reiterate what you said before, Epstein also donated quite a bit of money to the Machine Intelligence Research Institute, which is originally the Singularity Institute. In fact, I think he donated the money when it was still the Singularity Institute. Yeah, so run by Yudkowsky, another one of these institutes that's been hugely influential within Silicon Valley and has played a kind of an integral role in launching the ongoing race to build artificial general intelligence. So Epstein's fingerprints are all over the TESCREAL community in ways that I didn't understand until quite recently. And Keira, also, I would share your thought about how frightening it is that you could have ended up sitting next to someone like that. Because back when I was in the TESCREAL community, it was not hard to get access to billionaires.
Yeah.
By which I mean, if you go to the conferences, they're going to be billionaires there. A bunch of people I know hung out with Elon Musk on numerous occasions. It just so happened I was never at a conference that Musk attended, but I was friendly with other PayPal mafia people like Luke Nosek, who I met at a conference. We hung out. I saw him again at some later point. I asked him to write a foreword to one of my books, which he didn't end up doing. But anyways, these people are it's not hard to get access if you're in the right communities to billionaires. And as soon as you're in that community, you might find yourself unwittingly next to a nefarious character like Epstein. I'm sure there are other nefarious characters in that community. We just don't know about their crimes and unethical actions.
I mean, it makes sense. I'm thinking about this, and I realize there's a giant incentive for this stuff to continue. Because let's say you're a young, tech worker with an idea, you want to start a company or whatever. One of the places that you will get to go meet your investors is around these, TESCREAL type activities. So there's incentive for people, earlier in their career to get into this weirdo bullshit.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you think defines Jeffrey Epstein as a transhumanist? Was it his donations or his friends, or like how do we know for sure that he was one?
Oh yeah, I mean, for me, the key thing is that I mean, he being human was not enough for him, right? He wanted to improve the human race. He wanted to contribute to, in his imagined hierarchy, the next step, whether that was building an artificial general intelligence or impregnating like a bazillion ladies or becoming effectively like a rogue actor above nations and jurisdictions for the world's wealthy, right? Like he escaped society in a lot of ways. Like he was able to cultivate such a bubble of influence and power and money that for a very long time he did not have to deal with the real world, not in any meaningful way. And for me, transhumanism is kind of like that, clinging to that pipe dream that you can escape the messy reality of being human, right? In a lot of cases, these folks are just like running away from emotions and stuff. But for Epstein, this world, this existence, not enough for him.
The description you just gave, I think it characterizes the underlying motivation of a lot of people in the transhumanist community, right? There's like this pervasive fear of death, right? Which is part of the human condition. So you want to escape that. You want to transcend that. There are a lot of people in the community who grew up in religious households and had this idea that they're going to live forever in paradise, right? And then they became atheists. And transhumanism basically offers a superficially plausible scientific way of realizing those same promises of traditional religion, but not through supernatural agency, but rather human ingenuity, right? Technological, scientific ingenuity. So there is, I guess what I'm trying to say is there is a kind of escapism that I feel like does imbue a lot of the transhumanist movement. And, what is like colonizing space other than, I mean, there's this view shared by many people that we are destroying the planet. And so the way to deal with that is, at least one way to deal with that is to just go to Mars, right? And we'll just like terraform Mars, like Elon Musk says, maybe we could just nuke the poles, to release all sorts of stuff into to help create an atmosphere that would trap heat to warm up the very chilly planet of Mars. Because I think Mars, the average temperature on Mars is about the same as the temperature of the top of Mount Everest in the middle of winter.
Oh my
gosh. In the atmosphere, there's nothing to trap heat, yeah.
You could freeze your penis up there, believe it or not. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is super true, Emil, and I really think that like a big piece of it is not just like you personally escaping to whatever paradise you have in mind. It's actually the part about like leaving everybody behind, right? Like you are one of the chosen few that get to move on and go higher up the ladder, and all the rest of these people are down here, because that's what makes the hierarchy, not just like you going to a better place, but seeing all of those people down there, those plebs, those NPCs, right? That are not as good as you, not as high up on the ladder. I think that is a key component of this escapist fantasy.
I think that's a really great way to put it, and a super important point, right? And this is partly why I encourage people not to believe individuals like Elon Musk when they say AI, super intelligence is going to usher in this era of abundance for everyone.
Yeah.
Right. Elon Musk talks about universal high income, not basic income, high income. Everyone will get a high income. Absolute nonsense. Because like you said, it's not really about like everybody transcending humanity to realize some kind of utopian world. It's about leaving the dirty masses behind, right? So great point.
I was just going to say, like, one thing that stood out to me in this article, this New York Times article I'll link, about Epstein's branch and his idea for, impregnating all of these women is, it seems to be based on a Nazi idea. he told people at the time in his like scientific billionaire circle that he was basing his idea for a baby ranch on the repository for germinal choice, which was to be stocked with the sperm of Nobel laureates who wanted to strengthen the human gene pool. So this guy, and apparently, according to this article, he was talking to people about these ideas all the time, like in his, billionaire circles where he was hanging out with the tech dudes, Steven Pinker, he was not secretive about these ideas. He was, telling people about these, mass impregnation plans that he had, and people, I don't know if they were just humoring him or if they also thought it was a good idea, but he wasn't keeping this stuff particularly a secret at all.
How much would you like to know about the repository for germinal choice?
I mean,
How about 5 minutes?
Something, but not so much that I can never get over it. Yeah.
We can do another episode on the repository for germinal choice, because this was Shockley's baby, who invented a transistor. He did win a Nobel Prize. And then he just went on TV to tell people about his goal of improving the human race through better sperm. That was, he also coined the term dysgenic, which is a made-up term that suggests that that if you have pollutants enter the gene pool, you will become less fit, right? And again, we're right back to this idea of there's like one right way to have genes, and the rest of the genes are bad. And yeah, he was like a big old racist too. So there's plenty to get into in that specific area. But yeah, I guess the point is, like, these people aren't shy about it. They will just straight up tell you. Shockley was in a play, like he did an interview in Playboy. He was on TV ads. Jeffrey couldn't shut up about it, right? Like they believe that they have found like a secret mystery key to fixing the world. And so of course they're going to share it. They're evangelists. This is their weird religion.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm just like, I'm trying to think of, to me, this just seems like such a weird dinner party. If I'm at a dinner party and some guy, I don't know, breaks up sperm for really any reason, I'm out. Let alone eugenics, Yeah.
And Shockley was, William Shockley, he was, did he found Stanford?
He did his work at Stanford. He was like the first generation of tech bros that started out at Stanford. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it might have been David Starr that coined the term dysgenics, but Shockley was real fond. David Jordan Starr, who was Stanford's eugenics guy. But Shockley was real fond of that term. Because
I think the term dysgenics, as I recall, is quite old. I think older than Shockley, but I could be wrong about that. The other thing to mention, since I brought up Nick Bostrom earlier with his racist views that he expresses in private, one of the existential risk scenarios that he identifies is dysgenic pressures. Right. So he says, imagine, it's the case that, quote unquote, less intellectually talented individuals outbreed their more intellectually talented peers. Right. Then as a result, the genes that underlie the intellectual deficiencies will spread, increase frequency in the population. Right. And that'll be bad for the overall situation of humanity, because we need people who are, who are brilliant in order to develop the science and technology necessary to bring about techno-utopia.
Oh, boy.
Eugenics and dysgenics, they're siblings, right? Of course.
Yeah.
Two sides of the same coin. And these ideas just don't die, right?
I was just going to say, I feel like I've heard mainstream people use this word not too long ago. I feel like I'm starting to see this discourse in normal mainstream culture.
It's really important to realize that all of the right-wing authoritarian rhetoric is tied back to these ideas, right?
Yeah.
In England, there's actually just a straight line that you can trace through a number of academics who started with an interest in race science and eugenics, and started arguing that we should cut welfare, because then poor people, the undesirables, wouldn't have as many kids, and we just solve the problem that way, right? Like there's a actual factual connection between those people should not exist, and I don't want to support or help them. And on the other side, when we start talking about positive social control, right? Going back to this pronatalism concept and why all these tech bros are inseminating all these women, that only the right sort of genes should propagate, right? So reduce the undesirable genes. And again, these categories of desirable and undesirable are made up. They are made up by us.
Yeah.
Oftentimes they are the result of systems that are in place that we could change. We can make those systems different if we believe those people are human.
Consistent with what you were saying, I think it was the New York Times article that said the following, and I'll quote it. At one session at Harvard, Mr. Epstein criticized efforts to reduce starvation and provide health care to the poor because doing so increased the risk of overpopulation.
Et voila.
So, yeah.
It's very rationalist. It's a very like EA rationalist adjacent idea. If they haven't articulated it directly, it's like you can completely see how their worldview leads to that. I saw the other day in The Atlantic, the favorite abundance publication, this is, I think, how that argument appears in sort of like liberal circles. Mm-hmm. They're talking about how there's too many students now getting disability accommodations,
I
right?
saw this.
And like, really prominent pundits like Derek Thompson and Josh Barrow, who are associated with the more kind of liberal side, are out here making the argument, that we got to crack down on this because, otherwise, like, how are we really gonna test people? How are we gonna? I mean, like, as if you have like timed exercises as an adult anyway, right? Like at your job, they're not like, you have to complete this in under 59 minutes or whatever. But like the idea that because somebody is not able to do something without, I don't know, notes or a little bit of extra time or a quiet room or whatever, like there's this like sort of undertone that it has to be somebody who can do it like with like a genetic purity for it to count, I don't know. They're all so obsessed with this in a very unnerving way, I think.
Here's one last question for Keira, but also for Kate. Do you think that Epstein killed himself? What are your thoughts on that?
I really don't know. There certainly seems to be a lot of people who had a motivation to kill him. It certainly was convenient timing for a lot of very powerful people, and the whole like video footage thing. I mean, like with the OpenAI whistleblower, it's certainly suspicious, but I don't know. I don't have like a definitive opinion on that, but if like gone to my head, you were like, pick yes or no, I would be like, probably not, I think. Yeah. What do you think? I feel like you think that, knowing you, I could see you saying that Epstein did kill himself. What do you think? Yeah.
I do tend to, by default, side with official reports. Maybe that, maybe I'm not thinking critically enough about, being critical enough about these official reports. But yeah, my default is that he probably did kill himself. But I would add that it does look really suspicious, right? I mean, the video footage that was released by Pam Bondi,
it showed that it was edited or something, right?
It was clearly edited. I mean, that's not in dispute. Wired and, other outlets demonstrated that. And like you said, it was really convenient timing. It's clear from all the reporting, especially, even more so with the recent reporting, that Epstein was massively well connected. He knew so many people, so many Nobel laureates, political figures, just powerful people all around the world. That clearly many of those people would have had a motive to get rid of him. I don't know. I just shy away by default to quote unquote conspiracy theories, but I don't really know. It does look quite suspicious, and and the Trump administration really it didn't help when they released that video.
Yeah, that was the thing, because so I think my journey with it was like, when it first happened, I was like, he was definitely killed. And then I heard some details that made me think, oh, okay, maybe it was a suicide. But then when the Trump administration released that edited footage, I was like, well, what are you hiding?
Yeah.
What, or it could have been something like he was really pressured into killing himself or something like that. I don't know, but he technically did, or who knows?
I mean,
we'll probably find out someday. Yeah.
He clearly wanted to live forever, right? So
yeah.
So if there was any chance in his mind, if he was thinking, there's any chance that I can serve my sentence and then get out of prison, right? He'd have very strong motivation to do that, because if he survives long enough to be cryogenically frozen, then he, according to his view, would get to live forever, right? So the stakes.
This is an angle
enormous.
we haven't heard before. This is an angle that we haven't heard, because people are always like, oh, he killed himself, he didn't kill himself, and then just, the reasons why, like, the video, his depression or whatever, but nobody talks about the fact that he wanted to freeze his head and penis,
Yeah.
Nobody's gone there.
Yeah, so that's another point against the suicide hypothesis. So I don't know. I think it probably was a suicide, but who knows? Like you said, Kate, maybe in 10 years, we'll find out. Keira, what do you think?
What do you think, Keira?
Yeah. Well, I don't care how it happened. I'm glad he's out of the picture. I think probably one thing to really keep in mind is that this man refers to the exposure of his crimes repeatedly throughout many, many, many emails as bad press. He didn't think he was doing anything wrong, right? He justified it to himself in many, many, like it just over and over again, explains it just constantly how no girls ever complained, how everybody was happy, how they wanted to take the money, how they came back time and again. And that all of this dust up, he hired a firm to take the story off Wikipedia and to drive down, to boost his contributions to the science world over the crimes to hundreds and thousands of women. And the only reason any of this came to light is because of a reporter, Julie K. Brown in the Miami Herald, who would not let it go, right? And
we've mentioned her.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
I think that when people have the foundations of who they are come crashing in, and when you have been a God king and you have been promised immortality and you realize that it is all going to be exposed, like you don't have your buddies coming in for you this time. I don't know, a lot of destabilization can happen.
Could well be the case. I mean, I hope I'm not shocking anyone by saying I'm very glad this guy's dead. I don't think that the world is missing him, but it would have really been great if he could have brought some people down with him, the other people who participated in his crimes. That was the main and only reason that I was pissed off that Jeffrey Epstein died at a convenient time.
Yeah.
So you're saying he's a disappointment.
Some of his collaborators. Yeah. Glad he didn't get to freeze his head. I don't want that guy to be resurrected at all. Yeah.
Yeah. And hopefully with these files coming out, there will actually be a reckoning, and there will be at least some. I mean, Prince Andrew, right, has finally been stripped of his title and shoved out of the royal family, right? He's no longer in line for anything. And we can only hope that more of that stuff comes out, but it's far too little too late.
Yeah.
Totally. And these dudes who are, these kind of like, I want to say like elite, just sort of worshiping pundits that are right now trying to make it seem like sleeping with minors is not rape, it's not a big deal. I mean, like, I have to think that at least part of their motivation for that is because we are on this, precipice of potentially finding out that many rich and powerful actors in our society have actually committed these crimes. So I don't know, or at least even if we don't find out, like they think that there's a chance that we're going to find out. So they're like, oh, it's cool. Everybody's like a fucking 55-year-old who dates a high schooler. No.
It has truly been a shock to realize that there was actually a child sex abuse ring at the center of or very close to our government and to the most powerful people in the world. Like I still don't think I grasp the magnitude of that, of having this person able to just text Bill Gates or sitting representatives or talk to the president or, and I'm talking about just US figures, right? But of course he had global connections and he was able to leverage all of those, all of the time for decades upon decades. I think we're going to be finding out about ramifications of this for many, many years to come.
And by the way, I think the specific reason that Melinda Gates divorced Bill Gates was because of his ties to Epstein.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's what I've
apocryphal. But I heard a story that she found out he was on that plane once and was like, absolutely not. Like I am not dealing with this.
And also, like in terms of the philanthropist, I've looked at some of the stuff that she's given to, and she's given to like weirdly good causes. Like she gave to like a community land trust. I'm like, okay, I don't know if she's still doing that. I think philanthropy is bullshit in general. I don't think that that's the model of how people should be taken care of. We should have like taxes for everybody, and everybody should be able to have a good living without that. But if you got the money, I feel like Melinda went through a little revenge period where she was trying to do stuff that you can imagine a tech billionaire would not like done with their money.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I would love to talk to Melinda Gates and to Mackenzie, and
it was, I'm so sorry, I messed this up. This was Mackenzie Bezos.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, no, but so Melinda Gates, I don't know what she did, but Mackenzie Bezos was the one that was giving away money to cool shit. I'm just confusing my tech billionaire wives. I'm so sorry.
Well, I mean, and more power to them, right? For just like walking off the stage like that. And it is really shocking when you look at what they have done with their resources, and then you look at what the bros have done with their resources, and you can see like the promise, right? You can see how nice it would be to have an endless font of money dispensing to the best causes that need it, right? But that is just not how it happens in practice. And instead, the test grill people get $100,000 salaries, and they fund penis freezing. It's just the priorities, man. One side note to this story, Joy Ito, who was at MIT for a really long time, he bailed. He left the academic system as soon as news with Epstein broke, and he is in those emails just very candidly making jokes about Epstein being deposed about Trump, and saying, well, I could only keep part of that donation you gave me, and setting up a donor advised fund with a massive donor, and having Jeffrey Epstein come in to convince him that this fund should be set up. They talked about maybe getting Obama to build a particle collider and name it after himself, right? Like there's so many instances of those two collaborating, and Joy Ito has a fund that is called neoteny. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Neoteny is when an organism has the form of an adult, right, but is still a child inside and is still immature. It's just another one of those like very creepy, weird signals and fixations that is really depressing when you think about like where all these resources could be going and what they could be doing, and instead we're fixated on this, woman-shaped child interior type stuff. It's
so
yeah,
it's so disgusting. so in conclusion here, I guess, fuck Jeffrey Epstein, fuck Donald Trump, fuck all of their collaborators, really hate them, not good people at all. Sorry if I'm offending anyone here, but just really.
No, you want
just
those people out of the
awful.
audience. Just like get them out
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. So if we have any pedophiles in our audience, you can stop listening to the show. But hopefully we don't, because this isn't a rationalist podcast. Hey, but Keira, where can our listeners find your work?
Oh, come to citizensimpeachment.com. I am there all day, every day, harassing our government. Love for you to join us.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the show, Keira. It was so great to talk to you again.
Yeah, good to see you guys. Hope we get to do it soon on the repository for germinal choice.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Take care, guys.
Take care. Bye.